What's up, everyone? Thanks so much for joining me on another episode of Woke as Fuck. This is my first video episode. I got my good friend Jeffrey Goodman here. For more than a decade, Jeffrey has owned a very successful holistic wellness practice working with thousands of clients all over the world. Jeffrey developed a business course for people in the holistic health and wellness and coaching world, CareerHearted, an innovative business program that teaches practical business as well as how to use your intuitive intelligence for success. Lovely. Jeffrey is known for his Jedi-like skills as a business intuitive and transformational specialist. Jeffrey has worked with high-profile international entrepreneurs, athletes, and local business owners. He has spoken, led courses and workshops all over the world, and most recently, the South African Qualifications Authority, you got to tell me more about that, accepted CareerHearted as a required material for a diploma in business management for South Africans. Congratulations. One of the final review board members shared with Jeffrey that while his board was reviewing his innovative approach for business, a conversation was sparked, and then a meeting held with the topic of, is it possible we might have been doing business wrong all these years? Good question. Jeffrey delivers materials that are fun, interactively engaging, and designed for easy implementation and same-day results. His workshops are focused to improve team camaraderie, increase productivity, and decrease overwhelm and stress. He masterfully interweaves business and self-discovery in a way that models how anyone can have a successful life doing what they love. With all that being said, thank you so much for joining me. What an awesome pleasure it is to have you here, Jeff.
Thank you for having me, and it's awesome to be here. It's awesome just to play with you for a little bit. So
yeah. I love it. I just want to tell everyone the story about how we met. I'm living here in Tempe, Arizona currently, on my way out to move to Texas, and the lazy part of me was like, I have a week left in Arizona, like I'm not going to do anything. And then my higher self, of course, dropped in and was like, boy, you better work that last week. So I just got this random urge to go to this facilitators meeting at Abundant Space in Scottsdale. And there Jeff was just sitting there, just basically waiting, you know. As soon as I got there, he reached his hand out and was like, hey, nice to meet you. And I think we had met once before that, I can't remember. But yeah, just an awesome pleasure to meet you and kind of be in the same field of existence. Such an honor and such a pleasure. So today we're going to talk a little bit about Jeff's business seasons model and kind of how that came to be. I will definitely attach a copy of that to the notes, unless you have one handy, but I can definitely attach it later. But first, start off, just want to ask you, like, who are you and what is your mission? I know we got that big intro, but what is your mission?
Good question, and it's funny that's often a questions that we ask of ourselves. Who are we? And actually, in my course, I actually address that specific topic of trying to answer who we are, especially when it comes to business. And if you don't mind, what I'd like to do is reframe that a little bit.
Sure.
Why that is in the course, I go into a story about how when I was in college, a professor of mine walked in and he wrote on the board, who am I? And said, answer 1 through 10 and left. And I grew up with this, always self-analyzing, Myers-Briggs, and I was a photographer, so I knew exactly who I was. I was certain, wrote down the answer to that question, 1 through 10, who am I, passed it in, and I failed.
Okay.
I mean, because I was an answer. I'm at the time, I was a fashion photographer. I'm this. I'm a friend, boyfriend, whatever. And that's like, how can I fail this question? And so I asked if I could do it again because I had straight A's in the class. And I said, I can't fail this class. And so I sat under a tree, got super esoteric. I'm like, oh, this is what he's looking for. And came back with these super esoteric spiritual questions of who I am really and what I was all about and my intentions. Passed it again and I failed.
Aye.
Asked if I could do it again. There's a longer story to it, but the short version of is I asked if I could pass it, and he said, sure. I wound up graduating, and it was 20 years later to the month that I wound up contacting him back. He was still alive, believe it or not. And I met with him back in Massachusetts, and I passed in this quiz. And I said, I've discovered that the answer or the question, who am I, is actually impossible to answer. Because if I self-reflect on who am I, and I go to look at myself, I need to step outside myself to look at myself. Well, what I'm looking at isn't me, I'm over here. And if I go then look at that piece, I have to step outside to see that. So really the who am I is just energy. We can't, but the question, the right question to ask is, how am I? How am I as a person? How am I right now? So as you can see, I'd love to go into the deeper, more rich part of these. So how am I as a person, and how I like to express myself as a mission, if you will, is how I like to live life is I love to create. If you see my business cards, my mission is I create. I love to create, whether it be creating businesses or whether it be creating a relationship with someone else and helping them draw out their greatest self, their greatest abundance. And so how I like to create my life and live my life is expressing that in whatever way shows up. So that's me. That's how I am in this moment. And that how is changes. Sometimes I'm expressing myself a little bit differently here and there, but that's the core of, I'd say, the pattern of my self-expression.
I love that. What a great answer. Thank you so much for diving deep right off the bat.
It's
I love that.
The only way I know how to do it. So,
and it's funny. It's funny. I saw a vision of this, I think in a dream, of this exact moment, like me not having this, and then being like, oh, actually, it's right here. So here it is. Wow. Yeah, cool.
I know, where do you go from there, right? So let me help you, and I'll help the audience too, because I also want to respect we have limited time today because we just chatted before this for quite a bit. So what Max just shared with you or showed you what the topic is today is about these 4 seasons. And what this is in the business course, I talk about how your business is a living being. And I use Mother Nature as the business model. What I've found by doing that, it really seems to resonate with us as people. And also, if you look at Mother Nature, she is a phenomenal teaching tool. And if you really stop and look for even a little bit deeper, you'll discover that Mother Nature is a business model. In everything she does, you can equate it to business, healthy business, maybe not the business that we have created recently over the last 1,000 years or two that is really dysfunctional or unhealthy business. So for me to have a successful business, I wanted a model after the best. And I looked at a lot of these current businesses like, that's not how I want to do it. And I went to Mother Nature, it's like, that's how I want to do it. So I started having her teach me. And one of the ways she taught me was to model and look into her different seasons and what happens in those seasons and how I can apply those to business.
I love that.
And that's what I did. And just using each season and saying, okay, what happens in this season? Not only what happens in the season to how we execute our business, but what also happens to us emotionally, mentally, as well as our customers in each one of those seasons. And so we go into detail and depth on that. And what I've found is that really helps relax us and recognize, okay, what season we're in and what we need to be doing. What happens with most businesses, whether it be a small business, self-employed, or a large business, is there's the overwhelm. Is we're doing too many things at once, and we're often working too hard because we're doing the wrong things at the wrong time.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love how you're taking this 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 idea of the natural flow of the world and really tying it into how, you know, business has this natural flow. But I'm also hearing that a business, it's also like this symbiotic relationship between people. Like there's obviously a need, and then there's you coming in with a need. So I love how you're providing this need of some like tangible, solid, like a chart that people can look at and see exactly where they're at. I think it was really interesting. I was deep in meditation the other day, and I just thought, you know, what season am I in right now? And I was in a winter, which is funny, because I was like, oh, like there's where you see in the winter, there's like the fear, the panic, the self-doubt, noticing my natural rhythms of it. But I feel like right now I'm in the spring mode. So it's like, even though I like something that you said at the workshop the other day, it's like these seasons don't have to be really drawn out. Could you go into a little bit more detail about that, like how you can flow in between each season?
Sure. So let's talk about each season just real quick and use some analogies that kind of give some frame.
Cool.
So what I often do is I say, let's use farming, because farming and farmers are so close to nature, and they really have to recognize, honor, and are subjected to the seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And so spring is the time when we're doing all the hard labor, okay? When we are planting the seeds. To equate that to our business, that's when we're doing all the initial marketing, building a website, handing out business cards, flyers, talking about it. We're just doing whatever we can to get things going. Like the farmer, they're going to do all this hard work, tilling the soil, putting the seeds in, but you're not getting any results at that point. That's just the hard labor time.
Yeah.
What happens with most businesses is this is where they start and fail, because they do all the hard work expecting, oh, I'm going to put all of these flyers, people are going to come see me, and they're going to want to do my service, but they don't hear anything back, and they think they failed. No different than a farmer doing all this hard work, putting seeds in the ground, going to bed exhausted because of all this hard work, and then the next day going, where's all my fruit?
Yeah.
I'm starving. I need food. What's happening? And they might dig up some soil and see the seeds, like nothing's going on. Not realizing, look, it takes some time, it takes some effort, there's some nurturing. They have to go through this season. And if someone can recognize, oh, I'm just in spring, I'm not going to get, no one's going to respond right now, nothing's going to come up. Not until summer and at that time do we see some results where things are starting to come through. We're seeing the sprouts starting to happen. Even weeks or months later, with the stuff, you know, the seeds could be germinating. We may not see anything at first, could still under the ground. We're not seeing the roots taking place, all the transformations that are happening from the seeds that were planted. No different than the flyer put out there, seeding someone to start thinking about the product or service that you're offering.
Yeah.
We may not be seeing that at first. Now, summer happens, sprouts happen. What that is for our business is people maybe calling and inquiring about, they're not ready to buy yet, but it's like, tell me a little bit more. They might have seen your flyer, and after the upteenth time it's been seeded enough, they finally have a free moment. It's like, oh, I've been wanting to do that. It's been on my list for 2 months. Let me check out their website. And they see it and they keep doing it, but they're so busy, it's on their mind, but they haven't called to book a session yet. They've been meaning to.
Yeah.
This is the summertime. And then the autumn is they actually call and say, oh, you know, Max, I've been hearing about you. People have been talking about you. I've seen you. You know, I finally saved up enough. I want to pay you or tell me more so I can book you for your service.
Yeah.
That's the autumn. And then winter is, I've been through Max's course. He's done a healing session on me. He's done consulting. Thank you for that. I paid you for that. But you know what? Now I need to digest it. And that's the winter time. Is people are not purchasing your product or service anymore. This is another time that people close down their business because they think, oh, no one wants my product or service anymore. It's like, no, they just they have it. They just need time to process it before their next season again.
Yep. It's a different season.
Right. So, and recognizing that, and recognizing what are your emotions during those seasons, but also what are your clients' emotions. And you're in a winter right now, and there's specific things you do in a winter time for yourself and your business.
Mm.
And what happens is like, oh, I'm just in winter right now. Cool. This is what I do at this time. I only need to focus and think about this. I don't need to be thinking about the same things I'd be thinking about in spring, summer, or autumn.
I love
It's
that.
okay to be feeling like this. It's okay to be operating like this.
Yeah, totally. I definitely, that resonates with me. When I recognized I was in the winter phase, kind of intuitively, I just knew I needed rest. And it's honestly, I used to feel bad about this, but now I preach it. I literally just like slept my day through Monday and Tuesday. I wanted nothing to do with the world. I wanted nothing to do with my business. I wanted nothing to do with anything. I was just like, I'm gonna lay in my bed and I'm gonna sleep. And coming out of that rest and that evaluation time, and made me more clear about who I was and what I'm trying to do in the long run. So coming into that spring phase, I just have more excitement and more, as you can see here, like there's like maximum effort. There's the excitement, and I feel like I'm really navigating like where I'm at in the season. So I guess where my question would be, what would your advice be to a new entrepreneur or a new business owner or someone that has just started and they don't know like which season they're in? Like, what would you say to them?
So if they're a new entrepreneur, they're obviously in their spring season.
Cool.
Now, we want to piggyback that on the other question you had is about these seasons and how they interweave. So first question that comes up all the time, so I'm going to answer before the question is, the seasons, there's seasons within seasons, and they don't necessarily reflect the actual, what we know as seasons. For example, here in the Northern Hemisphere, we have, what we know as spring to be April through May. Summer is June through August. Fall is September through November. Winter is December through February, March. Okay, just loosely. But that's what we know them as, but that doesn't really necessarily reflect your business seasons. Now, certain areas can. For when I grew up in the East Coast in Boston, yes, winter tended to reflect and affect the business as well too. It's cold, it's snowy, it's rainy, same in Chicago. Less people are wanting to do certain businesses, like my photography. Back in the day, we were not doing a lot of photo shoots out on the beaches and stuff at that time because it's winter. Okay. So business was a little bit slower. Now here in Arizona, the weather is very different. So our winter is actually our summer, autumn. There's lots of activity going on. Our winter in Arizona is actually the summertime, if you will. Mm-hmm. So it's recognizing they don't necessarily follow the environmental seasons. They can, but it's really looking into that. Also, you have seasons within seasons, as we talked about in the workshop. You can have your 4 seasons in one day. Your spring starts off in the morning when you open up shop. Then summer, people start walking in. Your autumn, when people pay you, when they do your service. And then winter is when they leave. Mm-hmm. Or when you close your doors at the end of the day. Your winter is at the end of the day when you go home and rest.
I love that.
Okay. So what I'd recommend for a new business owner is, one, recognize where they're at. That on a big picture, they're in a spring time right now, and just not to give up. And just know that. Take the pressure off themselves. Enjoy being in spring. Just focus on putting his maximum effort out and recognizing there's going to be little to no money coming in at this point. And keep the effort to get into and be ready for your summer, which is when people are going to start inquiring about what you do. So you need to have specific materials for your springtime for marketing and different materials for when your summer comes in. And then different marketing materials for your autumn. And we go through all these details in the course. What happens in your springtime, which we call the buzz, what happens in your summertime, which we call the follow-up, what happens in your autumn time, which we call the follow-through.
Awesome.
Okay.
I love that. And this is obviously just a smaller section of your CareerHearted course. Using the heart's intuitive intelligence in business. Would you like to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So yeah, this topic, the seasons, is kind of like discussing one snowflake of an iceberg, and the course is the iceberg.
Yeah,
it's wide and deep. So one of the things I bring in too is I discovered, not figuratively but literally, our business is a living being. It's a conscious being. I've got a big bullshit meter. And when I started discovering, like, okay, is somebody just making this up, or is this really happening? Is there an energy there that is independent of me, that is conscious, that we can actually have a dialogue with? Now, I know this for some can sound woo. I think for your audience, it's not too far of a stretch. So just know, for me, I did a lot of testing of this to really see, no different than being trained by shamans about animal communication, talking, okay, is this really a dialogue going on, or is this really existing? And then discovering, okay, being taught you can talk with plants and there's a dialogue. Same thing with crystals, same thing with our business. There's a conscious business, there's a conscious energy there. Okay? And I am taking a full day conversation and putting it in 2 minutes or less. So just, we're fast forwarding, and I'm trusting the audience to kind of be with this. So taking that into consideration, as well as our own internal awareness and intuitiveness, that we can, when healthy, incorporate that into business. And I really express healthy, because there's a lot of people that are using their intuitive without a lot of training and a lot of practice. And it's no different than turning on a fire hose and having no one really on the end, and it's just all over the place.
Yeah.
And so they're getting information, but it's not refined. So they're getting a lot of misinformation. Okay. And so, and often what happens too is that spiritual bypassing, and a lot of this other stuff that comes in that can really inhibit our business flow.
Wow. So true. I preach that all the time.
And I'm sorry. I know we have limited time. I'm going to jump into one. A very big one I see all the time when I do business advising with people that are struggling with their business is and especially the spiritual bypassing, is they go, I'm just surrendering it to the universe. I can tell you that a business will do nothing if you surrender it to the universe. What happens most of the time is, I don't want to do anything, I'm just giving up. We're just changing our language, and we're saying we're using our intuitive. What's happening is we're using our fears and emotions, overlaying it, and projecting and doing a lot of dysfunctions there. Okay.
Such an important conversation. Very important conversation.
So I have found with a lot of people that are using their spiritual intuitive, it's really a dysfunction at the time. And so teaching people how to healthily, functionally use their intuition in their business, that becomes laser sharp, so the business is working together as a team.
Oh, just bridging that feminine and that masculine side, and just having that perfect balance.
Exactly.
Oh, I love it. We need to have a whole conversation on just that.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And in the course, I even break that down. I talk about the mom energy and the dad energy, the physical, the feminine and the masculine.
Yeah.
And how that's within each of us. How within myself, how I leverage the feminine energy and how I leverage the masculine. What that is breaks that down. And how I do that in a way so I don't lose my healthy masculine to my feminine. We're seeing this so often now. Again, another side topic of tangent is we see so many males that are in a dysfunctional feminine energy and how to reclaim their masculine in a healthy way. And we're seeing this in business with a lot of feminine that are trying to be too masculine and losing their femininity, their power there. And so how do we rebalance those in healthy business by using Mother Nature? So women, the female body does not have to lose her power of her feminine, and she doesn't have to be strong and masculine and getting that where she can really be a powerful feminine business without losing her femininity. And our masculine can be sensitive and caring and empathic and intuitive and without losing his masculinity.
Beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know so much, and we only have 8 minutes left.
I feel like our audience, we have so much to chew on already. That was so much good information. I mean, just you talking, I could feel my crown just buzzing, like awesome. Resonance. Awesome. So how can our viewers get a hold of you? How can they get in contact with you if they're looking to work with you a little bit more closely?
Awesome. Okay. So 2 ways they can do it. One, anyone that I take on for any kind of advising and consulting, they first have to take the course. And so they can do that by going to CareerHearted.com and go through the course that way. The reason for that is that's going to save them a lot of money for me having to teach it again.
Yeah.
And also it sets the framework so I can be much more of a support and really laser in for what they need, because my half-hourly rate is not cheap. Okay. So that, and also I've had a lot of people that come and they'll come in, I'll give them stuff, but they won't necessarily execute it. So going through the course first really starts the ball rolling for those commitments.
Yeah.
Going in. I'm not here to waste their time and their money, nor my time.
I love that.
So if they go through that first, that's the first stage. If they want me to come in and do workshops and things like that, I have another website. It's called thefuture.business. They can go there, find out more about that, and they can find out about myself doing one-on-ones with them or doing advising for their business. So
awesome.
Those are the 2 ways to start, because I really want to value and honor their time. I used to take people first by coaching, but it was not best for everybody. So
I feel it.
To start.
Yeah, full transparency, everyone watching, I'm definitely taking the course. So if you're going to take the course, let me know. Maybe we can be buddies, course buddies. But Jeffrey Goodman, highly recommended. Are there any last words that you'd like to share with the audience?
2 of them. And actually, Max, I'll honor that. If there's a group of you that want to go through the course together with Max, contact him. And what we'll do is we'll do a group rate, and I'll actually sweeten the pot that I'll come in and do some personal group calls. We will kind of monitor everyone to go through together and add to it. So I'll give a group discount and that versus people doing one-on-one. So if you do that, contact Max. We will put a pool together and do it that way as well. But so that's the one piece. Any parting words? I'd say, since we're talking about seasons, is just know wherever you're at, honor that, and just look at where you're at, and just know that's not forever. Okay.
Everything is
temporary. If you are in spring, you're just in spring. Work hard. Don't give up, because summer and autumn, which is where people pay you, that's going to come. Okay. If you're in a wintertime, honor that, and winter is never forever. You will be in your next spring. And most importantly, if you're in autumn and you're in the abundance, what I always suggest, don't save, because that's not forever either. And you have a winter coming. And be prepared for that. No different than a farmer will put food aside for the winter time.
Winter is coming.
Winter is coming. But then spring is next.
Yes.
So just enjoy hibernating, enjoy relaxing, enjoy self-nurturing, enjoy caring for your business in a way on how you're going to get it ready for your next one, spring.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that that offer for that group discount and just your availability to help people that are willing to sign up. Thank you so much for your time and being here. I'm so excited for the future. So excited for all the amazing things that we're going to do together. And yeah, I don't have anything else to say.
You're welcome. You're welcome. My pleasure. And as I like to end the course, I'll extend some gratitude. My gratitude to you is having this platform available, for people. And my gratitude too is giving me a platform so I can continue to be and express how I like to be as a person. So
I love that. I love that. All right, everyone, thank you so much for checking out this episode. Just remember, if you're looking for some energetic support to get through your blocks to your business or to your abundance in your life, definitely reach out for me. I have spots open for one-on-one and my group coaching programs. And with everything being said, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see y'all next time. All right, peace.